The core of the case is that on behalf of the Russian Federation, I am being charged with writing the article Blockade, the necessary first step to the liberation of Crimea, published on the site Crimean, because this article seems to contain calls for the violation of Russia's territorial integrity. But we're denying this fact, saying that it was simply part of the global discussion on the status of Crimea. Article 29 of the Constitution of the Russian Federation gives every person the right to express their opinion on any problem at any time. On the site, the article was published under the heading Opinion, which fully corresponds with the Constitution. Therefore, we are arguing that there was no crime in my actions. The lawyers already filed 4 motions to stop the case due to the absence of a crime, but so far the investigation has denied this, and now the discussion will be moved to the courtroom.
And what could you face?
According to Article 280.1, which is included in the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation and under which I am incriminated, up to 5 years in prison.
Can you work as a journalist now?
No, I can't, because they placed restrictions on me leaving Crimea and on, quote, good behavior. This wording, good behavior, prevents me from doing everything I did before. Yes, it's practically a ban on my profession. Therefore, I am engaged with my own court case. We hope that we can prove our case.
How many years have you worked as a journalist? How old were you when you started?
My first newspaper article was published in 1967. You can count how long I've been a journalist.
50 years already?
It was in school in the 8th or 9th grade. It turns out I've been in the media for half a century. I've worked in Crimea for more than 30 years at least, and all that time as a journalist.
What was your first article about?
It was a school look at the significance of monuments in our lives. I compared monuments and perceptions of them. It seemed to me that monuments had something of their own separate life, which affects how people perceive the world in educational terms.
How are these 3 years after the annexation of Crimea special for you? Now, many are comparing this time with the way things were in the Soviet Union.
No, of course you can make this comparison for the sake of curiosity, but after the breakup of the Soviet Union, journalism entered a new stage marked by an incomparably higher level of freedom of speech. It was possible to write about the things you couldn't write about in the Soviet Union. As for the years 2014 through 2016, in those years I worked more intensively than ever before in my life. I was giving no less than 5 or 6 reports from Crimea to the Ukrainian newspaper Dissent, and also from 15 to 25 reports to the site Crimean. These were surveys of all the life that I saw around me in Crimea. It's clear that I only wrote the truth, how it actually was, and many didn't like this. We saw everything that was happening around us. We understood that there would be some kind of harassment, but we hoped that it wouldn't reach repression, firstly. And secondly, we hoped there would be conditions for working in one way or another. We even had an office at Crimean where a lot of people worked. We cooperated with them. Once, when I was going into the office, I saw a video camera placed over the door that was registering everyone who went there. On the other hand, in March 2014, the new authorities had already made a list of undesirable journalists and undesirable media, which was reported to all the heads of enterprises, ministries, etc. It included specific orders not to provide the journalists from the list with any information. We weren't admitted to press conferences or allowed to enter press centers. They didn't give us any press releases or information. In this case, they wanted to cut us off from all life. We mastered new methods of working. Many journalists simply left because they didn't see the possibilities for themselves for work. But I understood, myself and many colleagues who stayed here, that our value lay precisely on the fact that we would give hot material specifically from Crimea. We believed that if we were to leave, it would be desertion. We could not afford such professional negligence, to leave our readers, not to provide them with honest information. But later we felt more repression.
What are you planning now?
I hope that to some extent I will be able to defend my position in court, and then depending on the verdict, we will see what happens next.
What, from your point of view, do people who haven't been here in the last 3 years need to know about Crimea?
The most important thing that people in Ukraine need to know about Crimea is that in these last years, a catastrophic regression has taken place in Crimea in all sectors, in social and in economic life. Of course, the authorities and the journalists under their control paint a positive picture of everything taking place. Through TV broadcasts, radio, and newspapers, the authorities prove that they are working around the clock to improve the lives of Crimeans. But in fact, Crimeans are being subject to even higher taxes. Prices are rising. For the money that Crimeans earn now, you can't buy half of what you could buy with Ukrainian money at the beginning of 2014. Most of the oppression occurred in public life. It's forbidden to form independent civil organizations. It's forbidden to work as an independent journalist. It's forbidden to take an active role in public life. Otherwise, the police or FSB will come for you immediately. If you merely don't praise the successes of the authorities, people saw that they were simply deceived. They promised a lot, but none of the benefits have appeared compared to 2013. National minorities are especially targeted. Education has been brought to an anecdotal state. Children are taught in such a way that they wouldn't dream of teaching children in Ukraine. And they promised free medicine. They said that with Russia, Crimea would receive free medicine. But it's actually very expensive. And there, when it is free, people can receive help, even in emergency situations, only after half a year, because of enormous lines, the lack of necessary medications, a deficit of doctors and medical institutions. And all of this speaks to the fact that the Crimean population's discontent will grow. Therefore, one way or another, the authorities will come to a crisis and fail.